This is the biggest thing with you guys, is that you guys gave me huge support with content creation. So the ad generation and lead generation has been great. I love that. Yet the transformation of my content, my organic content that you guys have coached me with, has been huge. Like, even my colleagues that don't know what I'm doing have been like, your content has been really fire lately. Like, what have you been doing? When I signed up with the DBA, I watched an ad from Alex, and he said exactly the stuff that I was complaining about. He was in my head. And so that to me is what I need to do with my messaging for my ideal client.
The online health and fitness coaching space is a very competitive industry right now. So here's how we're helping one of our star clients absolutely crush it, building her personal brand and getting coaching clients on her command. Julie, super excited to hear more about your story and the value you have to share. Before we begin, as always, do you mind just giving us a brief introduction, what you do, who you are, and how you help people?
Yep. So I'm Julie Prisbilla. That's how you say my last name, in case you're wondering. There's a ton of consonants there. So Prisbilla. I'm a registered dietitian and a certified personal trainer. I've been that for over 20 years. I help women that are in midlife looking to build strength, lose weight, get off that diet yo-yo in ways that are healthy and sustainable. And I've been doing that for a long time, and I really, truly love it. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, one of the things I love doing with these interviews is kind of seeing the progression over time. Obviously, as an online coach and business owner, there's so many ups and downs that you have to go through. And it feels like you're never there yet, right? There's always that next step to take, but it's always good to take a step back and realize how far you've come. So Julie, do you mind kind of just giving us a little bit of backstory? How long have you been in this space, and what were you kind of doing before to get new clients?
Right. So I'll give you a backstory. So I started my online business in the end of 2022. So now here we are towards the end of 2023. So roughly a year now. And I've been doing everything organic. So being online, trying to grow my reach organically, doing lots of different content, putting things out there in that way, doing Facebook groups, doing free lives, doing all these things organically. And I felt like I was just spinning my wheels, trying to yell into a hurricane to have somebody hear me, because it's just so crowded. And the thing that I knew I needed to do to broaden my reach was start to learn how to do ads. And that's why I reached out to Alex and his team, because I didn't know the first thing about ads. And I also honestly didn't want to do it myself, because there's so much that I could learn on my own, but also that would be wasting a lot of my time and resources that I didn't want to do. So coming to the DBA was really just so I could learn how to promote myself in a paid way, so I don't have to make the mistakes that others had. And you guys had such experience doing it. I was so excited to join and learn from you guys, because I feel like I was really limited in my reach with my organic outreach and marketing, because it just wasn't growing as fast as I wanted to grow.
And I actually want to uncover that a little bit more. I want to break open that shell a little bit. So I feel like I've done every type of marketing strategy out there. I've done organic marketing on TikTok and Instagram, YouTube even. I've done Pinterest. I've done cold outreach on Instagram, Facebook, mass email outreach. I hired teams of VAs to go and reach out to people in Facebook groups. I have multiple Facebook groups. When it comes to acquiring leads, I've done it all. And at the time, I didn't realize it, but I was really just putting myself in an endless hole, right? Every time we needed a new client, you had to go out there and kind of knock on doors, basically door-to-door knocking, right? So throughout my journey, the most success I ever had was posting on like TikTok and Instagram, just growing organically. And I remember sitting at one point, and I was talking to my business partner, Trevor. It felt like we were more influencers than business owners, right? Especially with the kind of content I was making. I felt personally like most of my day was like, what hashtags are working, what trends are working, what's the most viral song that I can use. And it came to a point where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm tired of doing this. I never danced. I'm gonna be fair. I never danced on social media, but it felt like at one point or another, I was going to eventually get there. So most coaches fall in that organic trap. Can you explain to me, Julie, why do you feel like most coaches, they get into organic marketing and they kind of stay there? And what kind of parts of organic marketing is probably the worst, would you say, in your own words?
I feel like organic marketing traps you in. If you don't do it, you don't move forward. So if you don't post content, you don't get a new lead. You don't get someone interested in your business. If you feel stuck, or if you go on vacation and you don't post content, then you don't grow your business. And so me, that was the biggest aha moment of, I don't want a business like this, where if I take a time off or if I don't post every single day, I don't want to feel trapped in that business to feel pressured to come up with something new or to come up with, you know, something engaging. And still I do that. I still create my own organic content because I enjoy it, but I don't feel pressured to do that at this point because the organic marketing is working in tandem with my ads at this point. And what I really liked about learning how to promote myself with ads is that, like you've said before, you turn it off if you don't want any influx, and you turn it on when you want influx. It's very nice to see that what I'm doing is now controllable. So I hope that answered your question.
No, that was beautiful. Well
Yeah.
said. I want to break down your offer a little bit before revisiting the ad strategy. I know a lot of people that watch these interviews, they're like, they always see themselves, can I do this too? So, Julie, do you
Mhm.
mind breaking down the price of your offer and how do you kind of work with your clients? Is it one-on-one group coaching?
Mhm.
What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so I have a three-tiered approach where, of course, it's a low ticket, a middle tier, and a high tier. So most folks that come to me that want to lose weight and get healthy would really benefit from that highest tiered package. So that is a 21.97 offer for 3 months of personal training and fitness and nutrition coaching, as well as mindset coaching. So this is a very hands-on approach where I work with them for 3 months. I work with them every week. We talk every week. We check in, and I give them coaching for whatever they're going through, personally, one-to-one. It's an entirely personalized approach to that person. Now, of course, that's not within everybody's budget. So I realize that I have a group program going on right now, which is at a $14.97 price point. Same time frame, 3 months, but this time it's in a group coaching atmosphere where, you know, maybe 6 ladies come to a group coaching call where they're all sort of working towards the same thing, and they work together as a community towards losing weight and getting healthy. So that's my middle tier. And then I also have some lower ticket offers that are pretty much kind of a jumping off point where if somebody just wants to get a taste for what it is to work with me, we start there. And then if they choose to get more support, they may jump up to the group program or even the one-to-one. And those are more like just personal training subscriptions or even just a one-off nutrition assessment just to kind of see what it's like to work with me. And those are within like between $100 to $150 per session.
Love it, love it. Very detailed. And you kind of built this over time, right? Because you had to get clients through the door. And you had mentioned not everyone could afford your most high ticket offer. So you kind of broke
Mhm.
it down into group coaching, which I
Mhm.
think is the by far the best model for most people to, even if you can't start off with group coaching, work towards that. Because as you scale your business, get more clients, you can't do one-to-one all the time, right?
Mhm.
So having that group element where you can funnel people into a community and then also learn from one another is so important.
Mhm.
You had mentioned your offer is basically 2,200, right?
Mhm.
So for most people in the coaching space, that's a high ticket price point, and some people struggle with that, struggle charging that amount, right? A lot of people they
Mhm.
tend to lower the price of their program because they say not everyone could afford this. But
Mhm.
since we're going to talk about some of your results inside the program, since enrolling in the program, you've been able to just knock off 2,200, $2,200 deals. Can you talk a little bit more of the mindset that it takes to one charge that high ticket price point and feel
Mhm.
confident helping those people? And then also, what is it like seeing like $2,000 deals come through the door every time?
Yeah. So I will tell you, I do struggle with that still.
Mhm,
And that mindset of saying, am I worth $2,200 for this person to invest within me? And I think we all need to get out of that mindset of charging money for time or time for money. Like it's not that. So it is, you are charging your worth and your value of your education, your experience, and something that that person can't figure out on their own. So it's not necessarily a time for money. And that's what's helped me kind of get out of that mindset of, oh, well, if they can't afford it, I'm just going to lower it. That's not it. I'm not going to devalue my services and my experience in my credentials because I worked hard for those. And so I keep that mindset of, well, this person is coming to me because they have a knowledge gap that maybe I can fill. Of course I can fill.
mhm,
I'm a qualified individual professional that can help them lose weight. And
mhm,
so for me, that mindset shift of making sure that I'm confident with my experience and credentials to show them, hey, look, this person needs me in their back pocket because they can't do it by themselves. And I'll say that is true for you guys. So when I look for a coach, I look to see what am I lacking? And then what can I gain from this person's experience that they have that I don't? And I see the value in those services. Not everybody does. And so once you get that in your mind of being true to that time, that price point, then it's not hard to charge that because you know your worth. And then if somebody says I can't afford it, and that's where you start to go, okay, well maybe the group program is better for you. Okay, if that
mhm.
fits with your budget. And then sometimes you're just not the fit for that person. If they can't afford it, then unfortunately, maybe that's not a right fit for them.
And my apologies if my camera's a little frozen. It'll come back around. Another question I want to throw to you towards that as well, because that's really good advice. A lot of people need to hear that. Um, how do you go about pricing your program? How did you come to that price point? What's some advice you could give some other people as well?
That's a really good question. To be honest with you, I started at a very average price. So like if I think back when I started doing consulting as a dietitian, I was charging something really low as like $200 a month, which is okay. It's not where I wanted to be. And to be honest, I just started upping my price until I felt really kind of uncomfortable charging it, but also doing a market analysis to understand like what other dietitians and personal trainers were charging, because I didn't want to be the most expensive person, but also I wanted to charge what I wanted to make as well as what people were willing to pay. So once I started feeling like I was getting more no's than yeses, if I was bumping up that price, then I would start to kind of settle in where I felt comfortable with the price.
Hmm.
Um, but honestly, like I haven't bumped up my price in a while and I've been getting lots of yeses. So maybe that's another sign to bump my price up.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, so I get that question pretty often, like, what should I charge? And it's all relative. You start at a fair price point and you increase over time. A close rate is a good way to identify that. So, I'm very proud of where you've grown to and where you're seeing the success with. Can you kind of walk people through the last few months as far as lead generation goes for you? Where were you a few months before enrolling with us, and how have you been able to increase that client?
Yeah. So if we want to think, I started in
Mhm.
August, so the middle of August, and it's now
Mhm.
October. My cat will not leave me alone.
That's fine.
Um,
Uh-huh.
and so I started and so now it's the middle of October. I've probably enrolled 6 new people, and that is at that one-to-one or that one-to-one price point. And then I've enrolled 6 people into my group program. So that's been huge.
Mhm.
I will tell you that it's been that real, and this is the biggest thing with you guys is that you guys gave me huge support with content creation. So the ad generation and lead generation has been great. I love that. I've been nurturing those new folks into my world.
Mhm.
Yet the transformation of my content, my organic content that you guys have coached me with has been huge. Like even my colleagues that don't know what I'm doing have been like, your content has been really fire lately. Like, what have you been doing?
Mhm.
And that has been really nurturing my current audience. And so it's a combination of both seeing new people into my world as well as nurturing the people that have already been there that has been this huge influx in activity in my world in terms of interest in my services. And
Mhm.
so it's a great combination of both of nurturing people I've already had and then getting all these new eyes on my stuff. So um, it's been a combination of getting new people in through ads as well as nurturing with new content or great
Yeah,
content.
absolutely. I wanted to actually share that with you guys. So, what Julie's in kind of breaking down, one of the things we teach is we're not just going to help you run ads. We want to make sure you're running ads to your brand, but also nurturing your audience with middle funnel content. So, we teach sales assets, content creation, stories, retargeting ads. Obviously, DM conversations are all important, but this is how you build an evergreen audience, right? So, what most people, the mistake that they make is that if they're going to run ads, they're only targeting 3% of people. Here's a name, email, phone number. Watch this VSL training, click the button, book a call. If you don't book, then whatever. But what we're teaching is, hey, let's get an entire pool of the consumer market graph, people that are ready to buy now, some people that are ready to buy down the line. And with the value of your offer, their knowledge, and your content, you're going to get people that are going to come around and circulate inside your warm audience. So that's basically what we're doing. We're kind of taking the shortcut with organic marketing because organic short form content can work at volume if you have massive appeal, massive audience. But the problem is not everyone can have 1 million views on a video. So
Mhm.
what we're doing is we're supplementing that with paid ads where we can even create certain marketing and messaging, which is what I want to talk about now, where we can pinpoint our exact audience. So Julie, you've had multiple like high cash collected days. I remember you closed like 2 people in a day once. You
Yeah.
closed like 7 people in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
right? Even now you're like closing, closing, closing.
Yeah.
I think your messaging is so dialed in. Can you talk to people
Yeah.
about the importance of messaging and how to kind of find your footing when you're,
Yeah.
especially someone like yourself that's in such a competitive market?
Yeah. You want to be inside your audience's head. So I can't tell you how important that is because I always think about what my pain points are. So, for example, when I signed up with the DBA, I watched an ad from Alex and he said exactly the stuff that I was complaining about. organic marketing isn't doing this for me. I can't grow my audience. I don't have enough leads. He was in my head. And so that to me is what I need to do with my messaging for my ideal client. So that might mean I need to think about that woman that is so stuck with her life, that she's so frustrated with this weight she's gaining, and then she doesn't know what else to do. So that messaging of getting inside that ideal audience head is so important, because if you don't say what they're thinking and you don't say how to solve their problem, they're not going to be motivated to work with you. They're not going to believe that you know how to help them. So the combination of understanding their pain points, but then also showing them, hey, here's a solution, and here's a solution that's really accessible. Like all of those things have been really key for me getting into my ideal audience and talking specifically to them, because you may have followers that are your colleagues, your friends, but they're not your ideal audience. You're not making content for them. Like you're making content for that person you want to work with. So imagine that person is sitting right in front of you. Talk directly to them and talk in their language and talk in their pain points. That's what I think about when I sit down to do any sort of messaging.
Absolutely, and maybe this will even piggyback back off of that statement there. What are your thoughts on like competition and market saturation, right? Because again, I've seen so many fitness coaches that are afraid to even really get into the space because they feel like there's a million of them out there, health and nutrition as well. Do you have you ever thought of, hey, this is really competitive, can I be successful in this space? And if so, how did you overcome that?
I've definitely thought that. So I've definitely thought, hey, the market is too saturated. Everybody's doing what I'm doing. What makes me different? Who's going to want to work with me when there's, multiple other coaches, thousands of other coaches that are steps in front of me with millions of followers. So it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, that kind of imposter syndrome is certainly real. But then I always tell myself that not everybody is for everybody. So just because there are other coaches out there doesn't mean that you wouldn't be an ideal fit for somebody else,
Mhm.
your ideal client. And so to me, that keeps me going, because I'm going to find my people that want to work with me. They're going to find me in a way that if I speak to them, that relates to them, then they're going to want to work with me. In
Mhm.
fact, I've had many people tell me, "Oh yeah, I saw your video and I just got really intrigued with your hair. And you were different. And then I looked on your feed and oh my gosh, your stuff is so easy to read and it's so clear and to the point." And so like that person, I struck a nerve with that person and I connected with them. And so because of that, like those people, the people that think that this market is too saturated, sure, it's saturated, but you're not in it. And if you're not in it, you can't do your work. And so I would have never thought not to do it, because I'm so passionate about health and fitness that, okay, I'm just going to strap up my boots and I'm going to work hard and I'm going to do my very best. And I'm going to get help and support when I need to. Like that
I
was
love
been
it.
my mindset
I
ever
love it.
since I started.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so just so the audience out there can have full clarity on this, because this is really important, right?
Mhm.
How much are you making now per month? Are you 10, 20,000? Where are you right now revenue wise?
Revenue wise, I hover between 5 and 10. I've had as
Mhm.
much as 10. It's up and down. So
Mhm.
health and fitness space is very cyclical, and I understand that it's very cyclical in nature, because not everybody wants to get in shape around the holidays. Not everybody wants to get in shape in the summer. So it is very cyclical, but
Uh,
um, I'm definitely not where I want to be, but there's definitely the capacity to get there.
right,
And
and so
yeah.
the reason why I asked that, because it's so interesting, you only have around 1,200, 1,300-ish followers, right?
Mhm.
So one of the biggest things when I first started in marketing is, and this is a common misconception I want to elaborate on, you think you need way more followers, you need 10, 50, 100,000 followers to make 10K a month. You're doing right around that with a fraction of that, right? 1,300
Mhm.
followers, which is just amazing. You've grown a good amount over the last few weeks here.
Mhm.
So that is also really impressive, right? And that is what stops a lot of people. Oh, I don't have the massive following, the massive social media audience. And it's so cool. So can you kind of talk? This is kind of one of the last points I want to really
Mhm.
nail down on because it's so important. Can you just talk about, especially in high ticket coaching, where you don't need a million people to make a good amount of money? Can you talk
Mhm.
about that process for you?
Yeah, and I think that's a misconception when people see successful coaches that have hundreds and thousands of followings, they must think they're making millions of dollars on this high ticket program. If you have a high ticket program, you only need a few people to say yes to that high ticket program and
Mhm.
you're making 10K a month. And so do you need thousands of people following you? No, like you just need the right people following you. And for me, the problem when I first started was I started from ground zero. I started a brand new account on Instagram with no followers in November of 2022. And here we are, October of 2023, and I've got about 1,300 followers. In the very beginning, it was other nutrition professionals, it was friends, it was not my ideal audience. And so once I started growing and doing paid marketing where I could target my ideal audience, I started getting my ideal audience. And
Right.
so that was the biggest game changer, is understanding that organic marketing can only take you so far, especially when, if you think about it, Instagram is a business too. So you got to pay to play. And
Mhm.
so I've seen huge changes in my own account and my own followers because I've paid to play. And it's because you have to have income to create that investment to pay for it. So I've been successful with signing these high ticket offers. And high ticket is really something that is going to make the biggest impact in your clients. Like, I could sell low ticket offers and make money, but the high ticket offer is what really creates impactful change, especially in the health and fitness space, because we know a diet plan is not going to help somebody in long term. We know long term behavior change does. And that's what I do with my high ticket program.
I'm actually so that was gonna be my last point, but now I want to
Mhm.
spend some time on that because that's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Like we particularly like to work with people with an offer of $1,500 or greater because you're making a massive impact. It's easier to get to those income goals. But more importantly, like that's where the most change happens is when you're working with someone for an extended period of time. So I have seen so many people that they're charging like 497. And again, it comes back to that earlier point of like, I'm going to charge low because only a small percentage of my audience can even afford what I have to offer. Well, again, I even made an Instagram story on this today. Like that's a problem with your marketing. And that's what we focus on so much at the DBA. How can we get the right messaging down? How can we get the right offer down? How can we get the right marketing down so you can attract the people that are willing to pay the price point?
Mhm.
Right. So you're always relative, right? Value is relative. You can charge, I can say my program is 10 grand or I can even, in a better analogy, right? This Lamborghini, my program costs $10,000. I don't have the money for that, Alex. But if I say, hey, this Lamborghini costs $10,000, you'll find the money for it because of the value proposition, right? It's all about value.
Mhm.
So that's so important there. And thank you for elaborating on that, Julie.
Mhm.
There's tons of online coaches coming into this space every single year. The online education space is going to be, I believe, somewhat close to a $47 billion industry by
Mhm.
2024. What's some advice you would give newer existing online coaches? What's like that big piece of advice you can go back and tell yourself that you could also share with others?
Yeah. So when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago or today?
Uh-huh.
So if you're not doing it now, you're wasting time. And if I had to tell myself that a couple of years ago, I probably would have said, "Hey, yeah, get started now because you're only going to get obsolete if you don't start now." Because you're right, it is very easy to start an online business now, and for sure that's when you want to get in is now. Otherwise, you're only just delaying the inevitable, especially if you are passionate about doing whatever your business is.
Mhm.
You need to start now, and otherwise you're just going to get lost.
Love it. Guys,
Mhm.
this is Julie's Instagram. Please go give her a follow. Julie, what's the one thing that you're looking to expand on now in business? You've done a pretty good job, but like you said, you're not where we want to fully be
Mhm.
there,
Mhm.
yet at least. So what's that next step for
Yeah.
you? What do you need us to help you do, and what are you looking to pursue in the next couple of weeks here?
Yeah, so I think I found my limit when it comes to one-to-one clients, because you said that earlier, like, you can only saturate your time with one-to-one clients. I know my time is valuable.
Mhm.
I need my group program to be booming. Like, I need women in this program to just be excited to join it, excited to work with the ladies inside of it. I want it to be a place where people come and feel completely supported. And right now it's in its infancy. Like, we've
Mhm.
only had 3 or 4 group calls, and
Mhm.
I have a great group of ladies, but I want more. I want more
Awesome.
ladies. I want more impact. I want to change people's lives.
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. Julie, thanks as always. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, you guys learned a lot in this short period of time. And you probably will be hearing from Julie some more soon. Give her a follow on Instagram. Check her content out. She has amazing value. I've never seen anything like it. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Julie. And if you want to learn the same strategies she's using to ditch organic marketing and explode her business, feel free to check out this training here. It's the master guide for getting new coaching clients. And it's a strategy that's going to finally save your business and allow you to scale.